Hey, my name is Paul, and I've been working as a cardiothoracic surgeon for a good 11 years now. Back in high school, I never thought I would make it to med school and become a surgeon. My mom, Betty, raised me all by herself after my deadbeat dad left us when I was a kid, and he never came back. I don't remember much about him. He was gone before I could wrap my head around what was happening. My mom did her best to give me a good life. She used to work as a waitress in a restaurant, sometimes pulling double shifts to make ends meet. She is a tough one, I tell you. She always used to manage everything somehow. There wasn't a single day when we had no food on the table or when she couldn't pay my tuition fees. She did everything she could to ensure that I had everything with me to make a good life for myself. I always wanted to go to med school, but I didn't think I had it in me. But she never doubted it for a second. She was super supportive, and she always believed that I would make it to med school. But the outside world wasn't very kind about it. My classmates, Joshua and his crew, used to mock my mom's waitress job. They used to bully me relentlessly every single day. They were mean and arrogant, and they just didn't care about how their sly remarks affected others. I still remember this one time. Joshua ridiculed me in front of the entire school in the school cafeteria. It still boils my blood whenever I think about that moment. He went too far that day. He made fun of me, my mom, and everything just to make the entire school laugh. I was kind of a loner back in high school, so I used to sit alone and eat my lunch. I was having my lunch. That's when Joshua and his gang came up to me. They knocked off my plate and made a spectacle for everybody to see. I got scared. I didn't even try to look around. I was just looking at Joshua, and then he said some things that I could never forget. Hey, everybody, listen up, everybody, right here. So Joshua here is inviting all of us to the restaurant his mother works in. Joshua, please don't do it. His mother is a waitress in a restaurant and would love to serve food to all of us. You can tip her if you want. Paul and his mom could use that money to pay for Paul's med school tuition. Please, Joshua, I beg you, don't do this. Shut up or I'll punch you in the gut. So, Paul here dreams about going to med school while his mother waits tables and picks up dirty dishes. I think we should help them, guys. We should go to the restaurant and see how good of a waitress Paul's mom is. All of you are welcome to tip generously. You don't have to do this, Joshua. You've already done enough. Stop, please. And Paul right here will even do your math homework if you go and give his waitress mom a tip. And you know what Paul's dad does? What does he do, Josh? Nobody knows, not even Paul, because his deadbeat dad left his waitress mom years ago. He's probably having the time of his life with his new wife and kids. That's enough. Or what? You're going to go to that restaurant and cry to your mommy? Or you can go to your dad. Oh, I forgot. He doesn't have one. Forget about med school. You couldn't even wait tables. Maybe you should get some classes from your mom. Med school? Are you kidding me? An imbecile like you could never make it to med school. You should start learning how to wash dishes, you fool. That's enough! I was furious. I jumped at them, trying to fight them off, but they were too strong. They threw me to the ground and started beating me up. The entire school was watching and laughing. Once they were done beating me up, they picked up some of the food that was knocked down on the floor and poured it right onto my head. The crowd burst out in laughter. Joshua and his gang laughed at me for a while and left. I got up, gathered my stuff, and left the cafeteria. As I was walking towards the door, I could hear people laughing and shouting sly things at me. I didn't look up. I kept my head down and kept walking to the door. I got out of the cafeteria and went to the washroom. I locked myself in and broke down. I cried hard. I still remember trying to tell myself that life will get better. I just need to hang in there. But honestly, I didn't believe a single word I said to myself. It felt pathetic. I cried for about half an hour and then I stopped and pulled myself together. I washed my face and went out. And in an instant, I was walking in the school corridor like nothing happened. I don't think anybody could tell from my face that I was crying for about half an hour. I went back home after school was over and my mom came in after a couple of hours from her shift. She asked me how my day went, and I went silent. I felt like crying, but I tried my best to not cry in front of her. The moment she saw my face, she knew that something was wrong. She sat beside me and held my hand, and she told me that I could tell her anything. I couldn't keep it to myself anymore, and I broke down. She asked me what happened, and I told her. Hey, what happened, honey? Why are you crying? They bully me every day in school. Who? Is it Joshua and his friends again? Yeah. I'll go and talk to his mother. No, Mom, please don't. Don't worry. I'll just ask her to tell her son not to bully you. He's not going to stop. All right then. We go to the principal. No, Mom, please don't. You're only going to make things worse. Why do they bully you so much? They just enjoy making fun of me. They beat you up? No, Mom, they don't. I'll go to your school tomorrow and talk about this. Please, don't, Mom. I can handle it. Are you sure? Yes. Well, all right, if you say so. Even though I wanted to, I didn't tell her anything about how they beat me up and poured food on my head while I was down on the floor. I didn't want her to get worried, but I'm guessing that she went to the principal anyway about it because there was much less bullying after that. I never asked my mom and she never told me. I managed to go through school somehow. After high school, I studied for the medical college admission test for like a year or so. I didn't have any friends, so I used to stay at home and study to get into med school. I rarely went out, only when I needed to, or only when my mom forced me to go out. She started getting worried about me, and I can understand that now. I mean, she used to see her young son sitting all day in the house studying. I had no visitors, no friends to call, and no one invited me anywhere. My mom used to ask me about my friends, and I used to say all of them were busy. I used to try to convince my mom that this was normal, but it wasn't, and she knew that. I even lashed out at my mom because mom wanted me to get out of the house sometimes. I said mean things to her, and I still feel bad about it. I clearly remember, it was a weekend and I was in my room. I wasn't studying, I was just sitting in my bed. My mom came in and told me to go outside and live my life like the other kids for once. Paul, sweetie, you should go out sometimes. I can understand you're working really hard to get into med school, but you also need to go out in the world. It'll help you with your studies. It'll be refreshing. Mom, I don't want to go out. I'm relaxing in my room. I don't need refreshing. You've not stepped out once in 3 weeks now. You only go out either to get some of your stationery supplies or when we go to church. You should call up your friends and, hang out with them. Go to a cafe maybe. You need to strike a balance between your studies and your life. I understand studying to get into med school is important, but it is just a part of your life. It's not your entire life. All my friends are busy, Mom. They're not wasting time going out and chilling. They're studying, and if I don't work hard, I'll be left behind. It's not a race. You're competing with no one, Paul. You can take some time to figure out some things. Everybody does. Mom, please, just go away. I don't want to go out, and that's it. Do you even remember what going outside feels like anymore? I do, and it sucks. Now please, can you leave my room? All right, let's go to your favorite pizza place. You and me. We'll order your favorite pepperoni pizza. We'll also have ice cream. Seriously, Mom? How old do you think I am? 8? We can just order pizza here. Listen to me, young man. You can't spend your early years sitting at home. You need to go out with your friends and have some fun. You'll never get this time back. What are you talking about, Mom? I want to go to med school and I need to study for that. I understand that, but getting out of the house and chilling with your friends sometimes won't hurt. You don't understand. What don't I understand? My son stays at home for months, isolated from the rest of the world. It'll get stressful if all you do is sit at home and study. I see your high school friends chilling at the bowling alley. You can hang out with them sometimes. They're not my friends. They even come to the restaurant I work in. It makes me happy to see all these kids just eating together, laughing and, having a good time. Enough, Mom. I don't want to go out. And definitely not to the place where you work. And those people, they are not my friends. I have no friends. What? What do you mean? I had no friends in school, Mom. Everybody used to bully me. They used to make fun of me because you are a waitress and Dad's not here. The entire school used to make fun of me because of you. And you want me to go hang out with them? They used to make fun of you because of me? Yes, Mom. They used to say that I'll never make it to med school and I'll be waiting tables and cleaning dishes like you for the rest of my life. And where is Dad? Does he not care about us? I don't even remember what he looks like. You want me to go out and be a part of this ruthless world? Paul, listen. Yes, I am a waitress, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's honest work. I am working to give you the best I can, and this is not something you should be ashamed of. You shouldn't be ashamed of your mother being a waitress. Mom, that is not what I meant. I was just, and yes, it's true, your dad left us, and I don't have the slightest idea where he is, and I don't have any idea if he cares about us at all or not. But he's not around, and I don't care. We've made it this far together without him. We don't need him. It's just you and me. So if you want to feel sorry about that, then it's not going to help. Your dad's gone and he'll probably never be back. And your mother is a waitress who waits tables and cleans dishes just so she can provide for you. Is that so bad? I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to. I didn't raise you to be a coward, scared of the world. The world can be ruthless, but you have got to fight. And there will be a lot of fights that you'll have to fight in life, Paul. I still regret saying all that to my mom. She was doing her best to raise me all by herself, and I was acting like a spoiled brat. The things she said were absolutely true. If I was scared of the world back then, I would have never made it this far. The high school bullying was just a drop of the fights coming my way in life. Fortunately, all the studying paid off, and I made it to med school. Mom and I were so happy. It was finally happening. I went to one of the best medical schools in our state. And let me tell you something. College life was the extreme opposite of how my school life went. There were a lot of people like me there. Everybody was fascinated by the science of medicine. I made a lot of friends there. I used to hang out with them all the time. I used to party and everything. I even started dating when I was in college. It was a completely different world for me. Now I could understand why my mom wanted me to go out and live a little. She told me it was going to be good, and it was. It was refreshing. While I was living the best life, college studies were not easy at all. We had to study a lot. I was also doing my pre-medical coursework and other certifications that I needed to become a good medical professional someday. Fortunately, I was able to strike the perfect balance between studies and fun. And like Mom said, studying was important, but it was only part of my life, not my entire life. I graduated from med school and started my residency program to become a cardiothoracic surgeon. Everything turned out just fine. The kid who was crying and telling himself that life gets better was actually seeing it get better. I completed my residency program and became a cardiothoracic surgeon. It's been 10 years since I've been practicing now. After I completed my residency program, I joined a hospital. It was one of the biggest hospitals in the city. One day I had completed my shift and went home. I had just reached my house and suddenly, I got a call from one of the nurses to rush down to the hospital as soon as possible. There was an emergency. I went back to the hospital and went to that nurse. We headed for the operating room and the nurse briefed me about the case. It was a case of congenital heart defect. We had an 8-year-old patient who needed a surgical intervention to prevent heart failure. As we got up to the floor where I had to operate on the patient, I saw Joshua sitting outside the operation theater. I couldn't recognize him at first, but as I got closer, I could see that it was Joshua and a lady standing outside the operation theater with him. Seeing him after such a long time took me down memory lane. It reminded me of all the bullying and bad things that happened in high school. I went up to them, and the nurse told them that I was the doctor who was going to operate on their son. Joshua was shocked to see me, but at that moment, I could see that he was more concerned about his son. As the nurses were setting up everything in the operation theater, Joshua grabbed my hand with both of his hands and told me to save his son. I could hear his voice cracking as he was trying to hold back his tears and not cry. Paul, my son's life is in your hands. Please, save him. I'll try my best. It is a case of congenital heart defect, and we need to operate on him now. Otherwise, he could have heart failure due to the complexities. Paul, please, I beg you, save him. Save my son. My wife and I don't want to lose him. I need you to be brave right now. I want you to take care of your wife. I want you to be a brave father and a husband. The nurses have briefed me about your son's condition, and I've gone through the reports. We'll try our best to save your son."
All right, Paul. I need to stay strong. For my son. My son needs me to be strong right now.
"Your son is a strong boy, I can tell. After all, he is your son. He'll fight. I'm sure he will."
He is a brave kid. He'll fight.
I put my hand on his shoulder to comfort him when I heard the nurse calling me out. I told another nurse to take Joshua and his wife downstairs and told her to get them some water. We were ready to operate. I went inside the operating theater, and when I was going inside, I could hear Joshua's wife crying. She was scared, and I could hear Joshua telling her that their son is a fighter and he'll make it. The operation went on for more than 2 hours, and it was successful. We were able to carry out the surgery successfully. Joshua's son was unconscious, but he was out of danger. All the nurses congratulated me, and the other doctors in the operation theater. I had carried out surgeries before, but this was different. The moment we knew that the boy was doing okay, I almost cried out of joy. But I pulled myself together somehow and smiled my way through the congratulations coming my way. I went out of the operation theater, and as soon as I got out, Joshua and his wife jumped right in front of me asking about their son. They couldn't wait downstairs for more than 10 minutes. They had to come back up after the nurse left. I smiled at them and told them that their son was going to be okay. Joshua and his wife broke down. Joshua fell down to his knees crying and thanking me for saving his son's life. I told him that he is unconscious right now, but he'll be okay. He just needs some rest. I told them to come with me downstairs and let their son rest. While walking downstairs, Joshua said something I couldn't understand. He was holding back his tears and his throat filled. I could understand that he was going through a lot of emotion. I told him to wait in the waiting area, and I went to the changing room. I took a shower, changed my clothes, and came back. I went back to Joshua, and the moment he saw me, he hugged me and said some of the nicest things that the high school me would never have thought of hearing from Joshua.
Thank you for saving my son. Thank you so much.
It's all right, Joshua. Your son is a tough little guy. He didn't give up.
My wife and I can't thank you enough.
You don't have to thank me. It was my job, and that little guy wanted my help, so I helped him. That's it.
It's good to see you again after so many years, Paul.
It's good to see you too, Joshua. How many years has it been? 10?
A little more than that. And listen, I know I wasn't very kind to you back in high school, and I'm sorry about all that.
Let bygones be bygones. It's been more than 10 years now.
Thanks, Paul. I'll forever be indebted to you.
Come on, Joshua. You're my high school buddy. I'll always be here if you need me.
So will I. So will I, Paul.
Joshua's son recovered and was running, laughing, and playing in no time. One day, Joshua called me over for dinner at his place and also told me to bring my mom. I was a bit confused, but it had been a while since I visited my old home and saw my mom, so I agreed. I went back to my old home and told my mom that my high school friend was calling me over for dinner and he would love it if she also came. My mom happily agreed. In the evening, we went to Joshua's place, and as soon as I entered his house, I could see it wasn't a dinner. It was a party. I could see a lot of familiar faces. Apparently, Joshua had called the people we went to high school with and invited them to his place for a party. I could recognize some faces, but I didn't remember most of them. I didn't have a lot of friends in high school, so I didn't know half of the people in the room. Joshua came and hugged my mom and told her she was looking as beautiful as ever. Joshua's wife took my mom to the living room area, and Joshua took me to meet our high school buddies. Timothy was also there, and he was happy to see me. He hugged me and told me that he was happy to see me again. Then, Joshua called for everybody's attention by hitting a spoon to his beer bottle. He wanted to make a toast. Everybody from every corner of the house gathered, and then he said something that I would never forget.
Everybody, listen up. I want to introduce you to the man of the hour. This is Paul. Most of you might not remember him, but he was with us in high school. This man is a hero. He saved my son's life.
Hey, Josh, it's okay, man.
No, Paul, let me speak. Tonight, this man, he is a true hero. My son wouldn't be alive if Paul didn't save him. My son had a heart condition, and the complexities could possibly take his life. Paul here came in like a knight in shining armor. He's a surgeon. He operated on my son and saved him. You can see my son right there, standing with his mother. And the beautiful lady that you see standing behind my son is Betty, Paul's mother, the strongest and kindest woman I've ever met. Betty, you're a great woman, and your son is a great man. My wife and I are pregnant, and if it turns out to be a girl, we've decided to name her Betty, after you. And Paul, I know I bullied you in high school, and I'm really, really sorry about it. I hope you can forgive me.
Betty, you look beautiful as always. And I'm sorry that we bullied your son in high school. He's a hero. Joshua has made me his son's godfather, and I'll forever be grateful to Paul for saving my godson. Thank you for everything, Paul. My mom cried after hearing all of this. Joshua's son hugged my mom, and my mom hugged him back. Looking at all of this made me cry. It just made me realize that I've come a long way. The man who used to bully me and make fun of my mom was throwing a party for us, and he was going to name his daughter after my mom. Timothy, whom I had forgotten, came that night to apologize to me and Mom for something he had done 10 years ago. Now that I look back, I feel so grateful that I had my mom with me. She has worked so hard to give me what I have today. I can save lives because she saved mine. I guess she's the real superhero of my life.